Shall we get into the Facebook questions?
I think we should.
All right. Every week we go to our awesome Facebook group, which you can find on Facebook, obviously. Just search for Nerd Cave. You'll find us there. All kinds of cool discussions throughout the week. I always look for, like, whenever I get a notification that says so-and-so posted in Nerd Cave, I always read it. Like, I don't always respond to it, but I always read what everyone puts in there. Just because having something like this is really cool.
Oh, yeah. You get all kinds of news articles throughout the day that people post. Not just me, Derek, and Zach, but you have people daily posting different stuff that we miss. You know, people like Derek Daniel or, you know, somebody else will come in right behind us and fill in our gaps.
Which, speaking of Derek Daniel, he is our first question.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so since Zach won't be recording, I want to hear your impressions of the Flash and Arrow premieres, even though I already talked to you, Derek. We did talk about both Flash and Arrow over Facebook Messenger. But you go first. What were your thoughts on the Flash premiere? We'll start with Flash.
I felt like it kind of started off kind of like in a slow pace for me, but it definitely got better and better and better. And what was funny is Reverse Flash is like, now who's the bad guy, Flash? And it like resonated. I was like, ooh. I was like, that's tough. And to see what Barry Allen had to give up in order to go back to how things were, where his mom was his dad and his dad was just killed, was so rough. And then to see what the Reverse Flash did to just ruin everything, which, spoiler alert, I mean, if you don't...
I mean, will be some mild spoilers in this for those who haven't seen the previous seasons, so on and so forth.
Like when he asks Joe, so how is... What's her name?
Iris.
Dear Lord, help me today. The radio show is going to be horrible.
That'll be all right.
But whenever he was like, how's Iris? And he was like, I will chalk it up to you being upset and everything. And I was like
what happened?
I was like, did she die?
That's what I thought, too.
I was like, son. I was like, poor Barry. He just couldn't get a break. But I did kind of like where the show, you know, kind of went. Like, with Flashpoint, you know, I'm happy they didn't kind of just stay in that alternate timeline, because that would have affected... I would have liked to have seen it affect Arrow and then, you know, everything else. But with them coming back, I don't know. I mean, the next episode's name is Paradox, so they might go back to that time. He might try to go back and try to correct all of it and try to get Iris back into the fold with everybody.
It's interesting you say that, because I had kind of the opposite view on it. I was disappointed that universe ended so abruptly. I was hoping that it would last until the 4-part crossover with Legends, Arrow, and Supergirl, and that's when everything is set back to normal. To me, you took the biggest storyline that the Flash has ever had, and you just do it in one episode. It's a one-and-done type thing. I mean, I get what you're saying, that it would have affected all the other shows, but I would have been interested to see how it affected all the shows.
That would have been definitely interesting.
To me, like, you know, in Flashpoint Paradox, the animated movie, spoiler alert, but Bruce Wayne dies and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. I think it would have been awesome if Oliver had died and Robert Queen, his dad, became the Green Arrow.
That would have been cool.
That would have been a really cool dynamic. Like, he would have taken the Thomas Wayne role. And you still could have had, like, some of the other, you know, good guys just be in different scenarios. But the fact that the universe was still affected, I think we will see that trickle into the other shows. I think it'll be very subtle, but I think it is something that will happen.
Yeah.
Overall, like, I thought the episode was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I
thought it was a solid season premiere, but I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed with it. Like, I was expecting a little bit more.
I definitely could see where people would be kind of upset with how abruptly it ended. But, I mean, I feel like even with it ending so abruptly, like you said, I think there's still going to be changes throughout, obviously, with Iris. But I feel like maybe what if the Reverse Flash left us a few more little surprises down the road? We don't really know.
Which, speaking of the Reverse Flash, I can't remember his name, but the guy who plays the real Reverse Flash, not the Tom Cavanaugh version, he is really growing on me. Like, that was his best performance as the Reverse Flash, which I think the fact that it was originally Tom Cavanaugh that we saw, I think kind of affected that because we had that expectation because of how good he did.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, this isn't Tom Cavanaugh, I'm not interested. But he did really, really well. He was my favorite part of that entire episode.
He did play a huge part, and like I said, my favorite part was when he was like, who's the bad guy now? Or however he said it. I can't remember the exact.
Who's the villain now, Flash?
There we go. When he said that, like I said, it stuck with me. And I was like, ooh. Because you do see Barry has locked him up, kind of like what Zoom was doing with everybody. He was being selfish about, correcting all the things that have happened to him and not worrying about what it's done to everybody else. Because as you saw in this Flash World 2.0, we'll call it, Joe was a drunk. Everything except for his life was better, but everybody else kind of took a spiral downward. I mean, he did start, reconnecting with Iris a little bit, but in the end, it was all for him, and that's where you saw him not becoming the villain, but where it kind of resonated with you when he said, "Who's the villain now?"
Yeah.
So,
as far as Arrow goes, I'm just going to say this.
It was very well done.
Loved it.
Very well
Loved
done.
everything about it.
Like,
it was paced perfectly. The story was great. It was never boring. Like, I never looked away from the screen. I didn't look at my phone or anything when I was watching it. Felicity was not annoying, as she has kind of become in the last couple of seasons. Oliver was back to being that early season Oliver. The show was based more around him, which I think, with him having a team and everything, he kind of got lost in the shuffle. Like, to me, Arrow was its best when it was just Ollie, Diggle, and Felicity.
Yeah.
Just those three. Felicity, is on the computer, and Diggle and Ollie are out in the field.
Like, I think bringing in a new team, I think they're going to kind of fix the balance. I think it's going to be more focused on him, and then the other ones are going to be kind of just fillers. But the way they did this one was awesome. Like you said, they didn't focus on the Felicity and Oliver lovers.
They
quarrel.
briefly touched on it.
Yeah.
Because Oliver was like, so, is there a chance? And Felicity's like, don't count on it. And that was it. Have
you started to dislike Felicity? Because when I saw her with that other man, I was like, oh, you hoe. I was like, I'll get
in
angry.
Oliver's apartment.
I know. I was like, I just want to go on screen and just and slap a hoe.
Yeah, and exactly.
I'm like, come on. I was like, what are you thinking?
That was kind of a surprise to me. And then
was.
the villain we saw at the end with the mask, and it looks like he's in the Green Arrow outfit. I think his name's Prometheus.
Yeah.
He's going to be the primary villain of this whole thing. It just felt like early old school Arrow, and that was perfect.
And you saw him kill again.
You did.
And it was really funny. They're like, they kidnapped him and two other people trying to lure out the Green Arrow. He's like, I can already tell you the Green Arrow is not going to show up. And I was like, because you are the Green Arrow. So, well done to the director and everything, because this is where we wanted Arrow to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited that it is back to where it's at.
Yeah, Arrow definitely won this week, in my opinion. I think Flash will get better, but I'm just so excited to see where Arrow goes.
Yeah,
I really am. Next question from Justice Garcia. Can I wear Uggs for men now that Tom Brady wears them?
This is the time to be your biggest white girl. You got the pumpkin spice. You got the cooler weather. So, Justice, if you want to go out and wear Uggs for men, by all means, go for it. I, per se, will not be joining you, but I will join you in spirit. Because I'm still recovering from a pumpkin spice trying challenge from last night, and so I feel like I'm white girling it up with you. So I'm there with you in spirit.
I'm all for Justice wearing Uggs.
Go for it.
Because you know what? Tom Brady is pretty successful, and if he endorses Uggs,
then you should. Go
I mean,
for it.
a part of me despises him, but he's so adorable.
He is. He's the league's MVP.
He is.
My MVP. I hate him too, but he's still good.
I hate him, but
He's charismatic.
Yeah, I respect every
Oh,
accomplishment. I mean, if I could be one person for a day, Tom Brady might be that person. Because, you're an all-pro quarterback, possibly the greatest ever. You have a supermodel wife. You have more money than you know what to do with. I thought it was hilarious that people were making such a big deal about him sunbathing nude in Italy. And I'm like, well, it's not like he can play football.
Yeah.
Because he can't be associated with the team in any way. What else is he supposed to do?
That's horrible.
I mean, if I were him, I'd sunbathe nude everywhere.
Oh,
I'd do it in public.
Hey, I walking down the street. What up?
Yeah, exactly.
In his Uggs.
Yeah.
Gotta protect the feet, though.
Yeah. Uggs are super comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
I've tried them on. They're very, very comfortable.
I've never tried them on.
Oh, you're missing out. Let's see. Adam Gumbert, I'll be contributing soon. Sorry, Adam.
Apparently not, because you have not posted.
I will say shout out to him and Nick. We started our wrestling podcast last week. Went very well. You can check that out every Thursday on iTunes, soon to be on other podcasting platforms. But it's me, Adam Gumbert, and Nick Caputo, and we talk about wrestling. So
nice.
It's the first episode went very well, and I think it's only going to get even better. Our last question comes from Nick Vikinghorn Caputo. I was plotting this last week. You've watched a show for years. They announce it's the last season. Then comes the last episode, and it's horrible. What's the worst finale you've ever watched?
Ooh.
I don't know if this is the worst I've ever seen, but I can tell you the finale I was the most disappointed with, and that would be House.
That is a really good one.
I loved House. House is like top 3 all-time favorite show for me. Love that character. Love the supporting roles. I really liked like his original team with Chase, Foreman, and Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
I liked all of them. None of them got on my nerves.
No.
And I think the show, first of all, I think it went a little too long. I think they should have ended it a season earlier than what they did. And it seems like they kind of just ran out of stuff to do. And then the finale was just, most of it was a hallucination where House was in like a burning building and he's seeing like previous main characters who have died and they're all talking to him.
Yeah.
And then he fakes his death and goes off with Wilson. And I'm just like, like it really had no closure for really anybody.
No. I agree. I watched House religiously. I mean, I remember us talking back and forth about House all the time. And for it being such a great show and it being such a big part of, I know, both of our lives, when it ended like that, we were just like, really?
Yeah.
That's how you chose to end, a great TV show. And mine would be Scrubs.
Yeah.
The last season, I think it's season 9. Of Scrubs was just...
If they had ended it with season 8, it would have been perfect.
Perfect. I mean, they had, there was a few things left unanswered, but it would have been way better than what they gave us with the entirety of season 9 for me.
Yeah.
I'm going back. Like, once I get done with a show, I fall back to either 3 shows, and that's Scrubs, House, or... I can't remember my last one. But anyway... I've been rewatching Scrubs on once I finish another show, and I'm on season 7 right now, and I'm like,
nice.
Do I want to stop at season 8, or do I want to just push through and get through season 9 again? So
I'd stop at 8.
I probably would too.
It ends in a perfect way. I did the same thing. I just finished watching through Cheers again.
So good.
It is a very good show. But yeah, House would be mine. I mean, I'm sure there are others that I haven't thought of, but that's the first one that comes out to mind.
Yeah. That and Scrubs for me.
Yeah. I believe that's it.
Yeah.
For all the questions. So, do you have anything else, my friend?
I'm ready to go.
All right. So why don't you tell everybody about where they can find us on social media?
Guys, we are all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter, all under Nerd Cave. Just search us. We'll be there. We're usually trying to engage in great conversations with everybody. So, be sure to talk to us. We would love to hear from you guys.
You can also check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/nerdcave. If you want early access to all of our content, be it this podcast, all the other podcasts that we do, you can support us there. You can look on the right side of the screen and you'll see all the different tiers. If you can't support us, we totally understand. This is just a way for you to get early access to all of our content. But if you're interested, be sure to check out patreon.com/nerdcave.
If you can't, just share some of our videos. That helps a lot.
Yeah, word of mouth is still the best way to get content out. We have all other kinds of podcasts that we do throughout the week. Every Monday we have Nerd Cave Retro. Wednesday is our fantasy football show, Fantasy Football for Nerds. Thursday is both the Derek Diamond Experience and Battle of the Brands, the new wrestling podcast we have. Every Friday this show drops, the Nerd Cave podcast. And on Saturdays we have our friends over at the Pop Culture Palette. Anything else, my friend?
If you are a big fan of fantasy football, in about
20 minutes,
we will be doing our fantasy football radio show that we are affiliated with Fox Sports Radio. We'll be doing that. You can listen if you're in the area, 1490 AM. If you're not, you can listen via our website, 1490fsr.com, or you can listen via the TuneIn app. You just search for 1490 Fox Sports Radio. Or we have an app that is for Apple only for now until we get Android set up, but it's 1490 FSR as well. So be sure to give us a listen and let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Anything else, my friend?
I believe that is it.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 179 of the Nerd Cave podcast. This has been Derek.
And Robbie.
Have a week.